Losheel, Clockwork Scholar is a painfully underrated commander that is the best attempt, in my opinion, that we have ever seen at solving White's commander problems besides maybe Mangara, but I'm getting ahead of myself. If you're new to Commander, you might not know what White's problems traditionally are. Card draw and ramp. Two very important things. Well, in recent years, card draw and ramp have taken huge steps with the addition of cards like Archaeomancer's Map, Archivist of Okama, Deep Gnome Terramancer, Smuggler's Share, and even Loyal Warhound. The problem with most of these cards is their price. They're pretty expensive. Almost all of them are $10 or above. The beauty of Losheel is that the card draw and ramp you can consistently have is all without spending a fortune. My deck is not even fully optimized, and it constantly competes in Commander games. It's so good at drawing cards that I frequently have to discard down to hand size if I don't have a Reliquary Tower out. Losheel does this on a budget. It's no secret that White can compete when you have a grand to spend on all of your decks. But the appeal of this deck is that it competes on a relatively small budget very well. So welcome back to the Mana Confluence, a juncture for all things Magic, and let's get into it. One, ramp. The commitment to artifacts, and especially artifact creatures in this deck, is undeniably a key component of the ramp and card draw schemes respectively. Remember that the first time an artifact creature enters the battlefield, every turn we draw a card. So Joyless Familiar and Foundry Inspector don't only reduce cost, but they replace themselves. Strongheim Courser doesn't draw us any cards, but it does decrease the vast majority of the spells we play, so it makes it worth it. Mana Dorks also replace themselves, which is what makes this deck really special. We can play Goldmere, Ornithopter of Paradise, and Hedron Crawler, and they all replace themselves. In terms of land ramp, we play Solemn Simulacrum, which basically gains us a card once it dies, Burnished Heart, Loyal Warhound, and Walking Atlas. Walking Atlas is especially good because of all of the cards that we draw with our commander. It should be getting us an extra land onto the battlefield every single turn with that tap ability. The rest of our ramp is filled out by Archaeomancer's Map, which I will concede is the one expensive ramp card in this deck. I got one in a precon and it was a little bit too good not to put in here. Monologue Tax is also just a great mono-white card. Temple of the False God, Soul Ring, and Hedron Archive produce even more mana for us, and the Archive can be sacked for 2 more cards in case we don't have anything we can do. This ramp package is pretty thorough and well-rounded. 2. Card Draw. The great thing about a 3-mana commander that draws cards is that this deck can consistently rely on having our 3-mana commander to draw us cards. Most games, people treat Losheel like a cute little value engine and leave it alone until it's too late. That means Memnite, similarly to Ornithopter, are 0-mana spells that can hit the field the same turn as Losheel and replace themselves. Genesis Chamber is a great 2-drop that can draw us a card the next turn when Losheel hits the field, but it also can help us out when we have a big creature spell, or just a big spell like a Sun Titan that doesn't happen to be an artifact, but yet we will still draw a card. The biggest source of card advantage in this deck comes in artifacts that can be activated on other people's turns. Retrofitter Foundry is absolutely broken in this deck, especially when we're high on mana and low on things to do with it. It is a little more expensive at about $15, but it does allow us to make tokens on each other player's turn, drawing a card each time the artifact token is produced. Golem Foundry is another ability that does more than just replace itself. As long as we're casting artifacts, we'll be drawing a card on other people's turns. Origin Spellbomb is pretty similar, but it goes above and beyond replacing itself. It can be activated on an opponent's turn to not only make an artifact token which draws us a card, but pay 1 white and draw another card. So we are really, in that sense, optimizing our card draw on a turn cycle. When the tides are right and the moon is in retrograde, Ancient Stone Idol is pretty similar to an Ornithopter or Memnite, but with Flash this time. It has happened, but when Jupiter is not in the correct position, Ancient Stone Idol winds up just being a pretty mean flash spell that does replace itself. In terms of actual card advantage, and not just replacing cards, Mystic Forge is a great artifact that lets us manipulate the top card of our library and, in a lot of cases, play it. 3. Protection. I haven't uploaded a deck tech in over a year, so what makes this deck so special and me so bad at uploading? Water I spilled on my old computer has a little bit to do with that latter part, but that's a story for a different day. Every little thing that this deck does replaces itself, which is what makes it so much fun to play. You get to look through so many different cards as you play the deck, and every little thing that the deck does draws thanks to our commander, of course. That includes protection. Bronze Guardian is a potent attacker and a great ward giver. Rebek, Architect of Ascension, is a game-ending card if no opponent has removal. Unblockable artifacts? Yeah, I want that. Dying? No, I don't want that, so I'll just play Cloudsteel Kieran. Killing any of the creatures in this deck isn't going to go much better. Cosmic Intervention, Eerie Interlude, and Cloud Shift will make sure of that. Not only do we possibly get ETB effects, take care of our creatures, but we also get to draw a card when they re-enter, assuming that's the first artifact creature that's entered this turn. It's so fun to play Magic when every card replaces itself. 4. Removal. Of course, every deck plays the standard removal package. This deck is no exception. Oblation, Return to Dust, and similar artifact cards like Dispatch deal with threats, but once again we get to play a great suite of cards that replace themselves. Duplicant, Meteor Golem, Steel Hellkite, Blade Griff Prototype, and Angel of the Ruins all wreak havoc in this deck. Last game I played with this deck, though, the all-star was Phyrexian Revoker, which severely hindered a Kaikar Super Friends deck I was playing against, and hosed a Sol Ring in the early game. Between Teshar and Sun Titan, I brought back the Revoker to the battlefield 3 or 4 times, eliminating the functionality of several different Planeswalkers while it was out. I especially bullied a Ral Zarek that probably kept me in the game because that's not an ultimate I like to deal with. 5. Game Enders. I haven't touched on it yet, but Losheel does have a funny little clause that basically says we can attack with the only repercussion being that our creatures tap when they do attack. In that case, huge attacks that win us the game are typically our choice, because as long as Crackback doesn't kill us, they're pretty safe and repeatable. Triumphant Reckoning, or Open the Vaults, are 2 great choices to bring our stuff back to the battlefield. Tempered Steel can normally win us the game, and is actually one of the cards that convinced me to build this deck in the first place. Imagine we can bring back a Mere Battlesphere, Triplicate Titan, or Darksteel Juggernaut. The swings are crazy. Even if we can't, a sneaky game winner is Steel Overseer. Leave this card alone for a few turns and watch what happens. 6. What else? I'm not going to bore you with all the other details of this deck, partially because I'm still tying up some loose ends even after a year or 2 playing it, and partially because EDH Rec exists. I know that most people like to look through there and fill out the 99. I'm guilty of it myself. I'll leave my deck list in the description below if you're interested in it, and you're welcome to leave thoughts about this deck in the comments below. I'll leave you, though, with my despicable card of the day, Lodestone Golem. I'm really thankful that you took time out of your day to watch this video. If you found it useful, please subscribe and drop a like. I'll see you in another video. It feels great to be back. Thanks for watching.